Hi, my name is Charlie. As usual, you can also call me the Guitar Boy. And today I'm going to be teaching another topic again in chemistry. So before then, if you are there and you are still having problem with science, you are having problem with science, and you have not followed this page, you have not subscribed, I want you to do yourself good to follow this page because there are many things that I am going to be exposing. I will be exposing on this platform. So if you follow this page now, you gain access to those things immediately they are being released. So I want us to, and if you are in Edo State, you want physical classes, we are at Sapler Road, Bypass at Oka, close to Bellissima Junction. We are close to Bellissima Junction. You can come and join our physical classes there. And after this particular class, you are going to have question to work with, as in to know whether you really understand this class, what you've been taught in this class. You have question under the comment section. So after you watch the video, you make sure you try to understand the message. Then go to the comment section and answer the question that will be uploaded there. Just answer the question, and I will see to that. Then if there's anything you still don't understand, you can ask question under the comment section. Okay. And today we are just going to be talking about topic particles of matter. Okay, under particles of matter, we'll talk about atom, we'll talk about molecule, we'll talk about ion. Now, when you hear particles, they are just that substance, or rather those just, okay, let me use something to analyze it. For every big thing you see around you today, for that big thing you are seeing, that human being that is not tall, that chair that is long, that table that is long, that chair you are seeing, everything around you, there were particles that joined together to form that big thing. Every matter you see around you today are made up of particles. Therefore, we are going to be studying the particles of the matter today. So if you maybe you have not watched my previous video titled element, compound and mixture. Yeah, if you have not listened to my previous video, element, compound and mixture, you can go and watch that video again, because that video will be useful here again, to be useful here, because I will be using it to explain something here. So it will be better if you go back and watch that particular video. So today like I said before, we'll talk about atom first. What is an atom? Atom is the smallest particle of an element. An atom is the smallest particle of an element. Take note of this. That can take part in a chemical reaction and still retain the properties of that element. An atom is the smallest particle of an element that can take part in a chemical reaction and still retain the properties of that element. Okay, just now I talked to you about the previous topic where we discussed element, compound and mixture. That's why I told you to go and rewatch that video before you come here. So an atom is the smallest particle of an element that can take part in a chemical reaction and still retain the properties of that element. Now, what does that mean? Now, if you have, for instance, let's say this is carbon. This is carbon, the symbol for carbon. So carbon, if you pick out one particle of carbon as a particle, you know, all those carbon like your charcoal and your graphite, your diamond that you have, those carbon, they were made up of little particle. Carbon, one atom, 2 atom, 3 atom, 4 atom that form that large particle. Like even your iron you use in construction, they were made up of particles to form that iron. So let's pick out only one. Now, this particle of this one now, this atom now, if you are able to pick out one atom from that bulk of atom, from that aggregate of atoms, you will see that this particular one atom of this element will behave just as when you have aggregate of them, when you have them pile up together. This particular one will still behave like that. That is what the definition means. Is the smallest is just that one atom. The smallest particle of an element that can take part in a chemical reaction and still behave like that element. Okay, let's now assume that you now break this atom now. You now break it. That one atom, you break it. If you break it, sorry, it will not behave like that element again. It will not behave like carbon again, because you are going to have other subparticles. You are going to have other particles inside this carbon. So one of these days we talk about atomic theory. Okay, so you are going to have other particles. What are the particles you are going to be having here? You have electron, proton, neutron. Electrons, protons, and neutrons. Electrons, proton, and neutrons. Electrons, proton, and neutron. So that is, if you break this, you will have electron, you will have proton, you have neutron inside. That is why it is wrong for you to define an atom as the smallest particle. Instead, you say, you don't stop there. You say an atom is the smallest. The right one is an atom is the smallest particle of an element that can take part in a chemical reaction and still retain the properties of that element. You don't say an atom is the smallest particle of an element. You are wrong, because we have other particles that are inside an atom. This one is inside an atom. This one is inside an atom. This one is inside an atom. So it is wrong for you to say an atom is the smallest particle of an element and just stop there. No, you have to say that can take part in a chemical reaction and still behave like that element. Okay, so these are the particles, some particles you have inside an atom. Okay, so we'll now move to molecule. A molecule is the smallest particle. Just the same thing. Just listen to what will be different from these two definitions. A molecule is the smallest particle of a substance. A molecule is the smallest particle of a substance. Underline this word, just as we underline this word. An atom is the smallest particle of an element. A molecule is the smallest particle of a substance. Now, here the reason why we decide to use substance here. The reason why we decide to use substance here, for an atom, it can only be an element. For an atom, it can only be an element. But for a molecule, it can be an element and it can also be a compound. For a molecule, it can be an element, it can also be a compound. What's the difference between the major difference that you should take note of in between molecule after the definition? The major difference you should take note of is that an atom is just one. Molecule is made up of two or more atoms. Like when you join them together, that is a molecule. When you join two or more atoms, that is one is just an atom. When you join two or more atoms together, you have molecule. Okay, so that is for that. A molecule is a substance that can take part in a chemical reaction and still retain just the same thing and still retain the properties of that substance. Example, what is a molecule? And still retain the properties of that substance, be it an element or a compound. You see it. This you now have to say more because of this substance you use here, because this substance mean it can be what this. The reason why you use this substance is that because it can be an element or a compound. In other words, if you want to define it, you can also remove. If you want to remove this one, you can put this. Say a molecule is the smallest particle of an element or a compound that can take part in a chemical reaction. If you don't want to use this, so for you to use this, for you not to use these two together, you will either use this one. A molecule is the smallest particle of an element or a compound that can take part in a chemical reaction and still retain the properties of that element or a compound. So since you are using this one, you now say a molecule is the smallest particle of a substance that can take part in a chemical reaction and still retain the properties of that substance, be it an element or a compound. You are not tying this one back to this substance to explain what you meant by what substance. That is the meaning of what a molecule. For example of molecule, we have water, H2O. Water is an example of molecule. This water now, if you maybe this is the lowest, it was this H2O that piled up together to form that water you now drink. H2O is one molecule, 2 molecule, 3 molecule in aggregate form that water you drink. Do you know how many molecules you have in that water you drink? How many molecules of water you have in that water you drink? So they are very, very many because molecules are very, very small. So you have a large number of molecules to form that water you drink. Okay, so molecule is the smallest particle of a substance that can take part in a chemical reaction and still retain the properties of that substance, be it an element or a compound. Take for instance, why you must use the smallest particle. If you further break this now, maybe you break it, hydrogen now comes here, oxygen now, okay, let me write it here. Hydrogen comes here, oxygen here. If you break it, you will notice that this one will not behave like what I did, because this one is now hydrogen because you have broken it. This one is now hydrogen, this one is now oxygen. This one will behave like oxygen, this one will behave like hydrogen. It will not behave like what I did. So the smallest of it, that it will still retain its property as water, behave like water, is at this level. If you break it below this level, if you reduce it below this level, it will not behave like water again. That's why we use the word the smallest particle of a substance that can take part in the chemical reaction and still retain the properties of that substance, be it an element or a compound. Or you can say it is the smallest particle of that substance that can take part in a chemical reaction. Don't just stop at it is the smallest particle of the substance. If you stop there, you are wrong. It is not the smallest particle. Okay, they are not the smallest particle. Like this one now, the smallest, you break this water into hydrogen and oxygen. You can still further break this hydrogen into hydrogen atom, because this is hydrogen molecule. You can still break the atom into what? Because this one now is atom. This one now is molecule because it consists of 2 of this. 2. This one is 2. So it's molecule. So that's the meaning of what? Molecule. I believe it's clear now. The meaning of molecule is clear now. Now let's move to ion. Ion are charged particles. Ion are charged particles. That is to say, the particles that are charged, maybe they have plus or minus, that are not neutral. Ions are charged particles. Particles that are non neutral, that are charged. For example, you have sodium ion. Sodium ion. You have aluminium ion. You have potassium ion. You have copper 2 plus. So you have iron 3 plus. You have all these are ion, even ionic compounds such as sodium chloride. This one is minus here, this one is plus. So these are ion. So that's any substance that carries charge, positive and negative, positive or negative, they are called what? They are called ions. Once it carries plus or minus, why does it carry plus or minus? We discuss that when we discuss atom on it alone, because in our subsequent video we'll talk about atom itself and how reaction take place. So we will discuss that, why they carry plus, why they carry minus. So every matter you have, in summation, every matter you have around you can either be made up of an atom can either be made up of a molecule, can either be made up of an ion, or can be made up of molecule and atom together, or made up of the three together. That is example of a substance that is made up of the three, like your blood. Your blood is made up of water, H2O. That's your blood you are saying is made up of water, H2O. Water is a molecule. Okay, your blood is also made up of ions like sodium ion is made up of sodium ion, potassium ion, yes, potassium ion, and calcium ion. That's your blood, calcium ion. So all these things are not difficult. I will explain how to write formula. I will teach you on this particular topic how to write formula. So all these things that I'm writing, they are not difficult at all, writing these things like this, because there are rules you follow to write all these things. So I will teach you that later in subsequent videos. So that is it. So they are made up of ions, they are made up of atom, they are also made up of okay, we have talked about molecules. Okay, so we have them made up of all the three particles. Okay, so that is for today. And like I said before, if you have any question, you can ask on the comment section. I will answer the first two questions on the comment section. I will give answer to that, the first two questions on the comment section. So I am going to be giving you some questions on the comment section to lay your hand on and make sure you solve it and get the right answer to the question. God bless you. We'll end this video here and remain blessed. Be a good chemist. Thank you. Bye.